The third case is when a is not equal to 1. So it's the same concept, but the a is no longer 1. But even if a is not 1, if it can be simplified, if there's a common number that can be factored out, that's the best thing to do. So just looking at it, I knew it's an x cubed, so I need it to be x squared. So I know I'm going to take x out because x is in every of the 3 numbers. And then I see that 3 might be a factor in each, right? Because 18 goes into 3, 87 goes into 3, and 15 goes into 3. So I'm going to divide everything by 3x and then write down what is left. 15x cubed divided by 3x gives you 5x squared minus 87 divided by 3 gives you 29x, right? And then 18 divided by 3 is going to give you 6 because the x cancel out, 18 divided. So the GCF was 3x, and then you leave the rest as it is, 5x squared minus 29x minus 6. So this is step 1. So because a is not equal to 1, we have to add another step. So multiply the first and the last number. The first, which is a, and the last number, which is c. When I multiply 5 times negative 6, I got negative 30, right? So now my a times c is going to be negative 30, right? So number 1 times number 2 is going to give me negative 30. When I add the 2 numbers, it needs to give me the middle number, which is negative 29. So when I multiply it, it needs to give me negative 30. When I add it, it needs to give me negative 29. So mind you, when the multiplication part is negative, the only number I can multiply to get negative is if 1 is positive, and then if it is n1 times n2, one of them has to be negative. Only one negative, right? One negative. Because positive times negative is going to be negative. And then, but when I add n1 plus n2, it needs to give me negative 29. That means the larger number for n1 plus n2 to be negative, right? The number has to be negative. One of the number, the larger number is negative. Okay, because when I add the two negative, when I add a positive and negative, if you want it to have the negative effect, then the larger number needs to be negative. Okay, so that's what you have to remember, 2 things. So then let's look at it. I need to get negative 30 when I multiply. When I add, I need to get negative 29. So the smaller numbers are my positive number, right? So 1 times negative 30, 2 times negative 15, 3 times negative 10. But without even going further, when I add the 2 numbers, it needs to be negative 29, right? Voila, we got it right here from the beginning. Because when I multiply 1 times negative 30, it will give me negative 30. 1 plus negative 30 will give me negative 29. So my GCF, or my 2 numbers, will be x plus 1, and then x minus 30. But remember, one thing that makes it, we have to get rid of the a, because I multiply a times c here, right? What was a? What's the number I multiplied? 5. So I need to get rid of that 5 that I multiplied earlier, right? So I'm going to divide it by 5. When you divide it by that 5, by that a, if the number is going to give you a fraction, then take the 5 in front of it. So it's going to give you 5x plus 1. for the next one, x negative 30 divided by 5 is going to give you 6, right? Negative 6. So remember, we have a GCF that we took out, which is 3x, right? So in your final answer, I don't know if I did it earlier, 3x come here. So my final answer would be 3x in parentheses, 5x plus 1, close parentheses, and then x minus 6 inside of parentheses. Okay, I'll do one more just to make sure everybody's on the same page. This is the one that takes a little bit longer. So I look at the numbers first to see, I see x cubed, then I know 1x is going to come out. Then I have to check if the numbers given can be divisible by the 6, right? I don't know if it is divisible by 6, no. What about by 3? Let's see, 162 divided by 3. Yep, all of them will be divided by 3. So B3x would be my GCF. So now I'm going to divide each number by 3x, and then 3x. What is left? 2x squared for the first one. And 63 divided by 3 is going to be negative 21x. 162 divided by 3 is 54. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, multiply the first and the last number. What's the first number? 2. What's the last number? 54. So I have to multiply 2 times 54, which will give you 108. Okay, so the sum of the two, the product of the two numbers need to be 108, positive 108, right? But the differences need to be the middle number, which is negative 21. So this is interesting, right? When I multiply, I need to get positive. When I add it, it needs to give me negative 21. So in order to do this, the two numbers need to be, for two numbers when you multiply to be negative, to be positive, is they both need to either be positive or negative, right? So they're both going to be negative because when I add them, I need to get a negative number. So the two numbers are going to be negative numbers. So 108, and I wanted to know the factor. So they both going to be negative, right? So negative 108 times negative 1. Just to write the factors, negative 2 times negative 54, right? 108 divided by 4, I believe, is negative 4 times negative 27. So still doesn't give it to me, right? 108 divided by 6, negative 6 times negative 18. This give me 6 plus 18 gives me 21. 24. Is it 24? Did I make a mistake? I have to look at the number. 63 divided by 3 is 21. So I need to, so it's not 18. Okay, negative. So 7 doesn't go into 8. What about 108 divided by 8? No. 108 divided by 12. Yep, 12 and 9. Negative 9 and negative 12. I think we got it, right? Because when I take negative 9 minus 12 will give me negative 21 when I multiply it. So now we come here, x minus 9 and x minus 12. Remember, I still need to divide it by a. So go up. What is a in this case? A was 2. So I need to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide the 9 by 2 and the 12 by 2. So since 9 cannot be divisible by 2 as a whole number, I need to multiply this by 2. So 2x minus 9, right? But for the next one, 12 divided by 2 is going to be 6. But remember, we took a GCF at the beginning, which was 3x, I believe. Yep. So 3x goes here. And the answer for this question is going to be here. So this will take a little bit longer, but make sure you guys watched it. If you still don't get have to factor when a is not equal